So welcome to episode 54. Today's special guest is Josh Lunn, who's one of the hosts of the Inside Jogging Podcast, similar to the Inside Running Podcast. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. We spoke earlier, but like you boys love your chocolate, as we know on your podcast. But if you could eat one chocolate for the rest of your life, what would that be and why?
Or see, I'm gonna say something controversial. I'm gonna say a bounty. And I know in the UK that will not be very popular. But if you were to eat a bounty for the rest of your life, it's not that sickly. And yeah, it's very sweet. I've got quite a sweet tooth, so yeah, I would go for that.
Fair enough. I would not say likewise, but I guess it's very abstract, and you do you, Josh.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a very popular choice anywhere, to be honest.
No, we'll have to put it in like a mini clip because I reckon people will get around it here in Australia. Give the bounty a go because it goes unrecognised. So that's
Yeah,
good.
it's good. It's always at Christmas here we have like celebration boxes, and that is always the last thing that's left. So you go and sweep those up. It's yeah, it's good.
So you probably got like 3 left, and then you scoop all 3 of them.
Yeah, literally.
No, that's awesome, Josh. And all right, let's touch more on a serious note with obviously the Paralympics which like finished just now, but let's touch on the Olympics. Evaluate how the UK went in athletics and in the marathon.
Marathon wise, like we had some pretty strong teams that were sent. So yeah, women's we had Steph Twell, Steph Davis, and Jess Psaki. And I think looking at the results for both the men and the women, really. So yeah, I mean the men's, I mean equally probably stronger. With like Hawkins, I mean he's performed the last few major championships, but I don't think he was so fit going into it. But it looks like we kind of suffered really with the heat. Looking at the results, I know so Ben Connor didn't finish, Callum didn't finish, and then Jess and Steph 12 sort of were quite low down considering where they would probably expect to be. So I think the heat really hurt us. Yeah, I was quite surprised.
Yeah, for sure. And do you reckon, like the marathon, obviously it's a tough gig. Do you reckon the humidity and like heat factors played a huge role, even though like obviously the gel technology has evolved over the years? Has that like still helped like preparation, etc., and all that, like during the race?
I think so, but I mean, I was talking to someone about Ben's preparation, and I mean, he had been preparing so much, but I think one of the things they mentioned was when they got to the sort of the race venue, they were just sort of sat inside all day. So all that preparation they'd kind of done, they'd almost lost a bit because you're just sort of sat in a hotel, air conditioned hotel all day. You lose that exposure. So yeah, I mean that might have been something that, and I don't know if that was the UK thing or if that was overall. I think that definitely affected some of them by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and to add to that, what was it like meeting the goat of distance running, Eliud Kipchoge? I think that was a few years ago or last year.
Yeah, I met him so the last year I did the London Marathon, which I'm not sure if you guys know was basically like the elite only one. So
Yeah.
I think you guys sent over, Sinead did it, and I think it was just Brett as well. So I think Jack was meant to, but Jack Rayner was meant to, but I think he was injured. So that in itself was like the most bizarre experience ever, really. So we were like locked away, like an hour away from London, and it was really cool, really unique. Yeah, so when I met Kipchoge, he's very much keeps himself to himself. He would sort of come down for food. I don't know what time they were running. I mean, we were running at probably like 8 a.m. and they were gone. Like they'd been gone, back, eaten. Yeah, they weren't messing about. But yeah, no, I mean, he just seemed like such a calm, sort of humble guy. But yeah, very much keeps himself to himself and sort of like his clique.
No, that's beautiful to hear, and like especially because people were possibly tipping an upset, but Kipchoge, pulled through and pulled away around the like I think 25K mark. I was watching that, but yeah, it was incredible the way like he goes about it and his work ethic as well. He just put so much work behind the scenes to achieve that, especially going from like 5K to marathon. It's a step up?
Yeah, I think the thing is, a lot of people, like you say, a lot of people sort of tips him off. Is he done now? But like, if you think how many marathons he's done and how many bad runs he's had, there's not many. And think how many bad runs, or like how many people have bad runs in marathons. It's so easy. Like, it's so easy for one thing to go wrong. So I was like, oh, I mean, this guy's human, right? So I know that race was pretty grim last year. So yeah, I always thought he was going to win, to be honest. I didn't think he'd win as demandingly as he did, and sort of he just blew the field away. But it was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, and just briefly on the Olympics, how talk me through London Olympics 2012, because that was massive. I was probably like 8 or 9 at the time, but obviously you experienced it like firsthand in your nation. What was that like? Obviously Mo Farah was the main spectacle, so do you want to briefly touch on that?
Yeah, so I remember it pretty clearly. So I would have been in my last or second last year from at school. And I remember actually watching that. So we called it Super Saturday here. So we had Mo won, I can't remember if it was the 5 or the 10K. And then we had Greg Rutherford won the long jump and Jess Ennis won the heptathlon. And yeah, I was in with my school friends that evening. We'd just gone out for a meal in a pub. We were just literally everyone, the whole place was just glued on the TV. But I even actually remember even being awarded the Olympics. So I must have been probably like 12, 13 maybe. And the buzz around the country, even were just being awarded, it was unbelievable. So yeah, the whole, it definitely, it's quite a common phrase like here, it's inspired a nation. And actually, when you look at some of the people who have now come through, that is what's inspired them. And that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's like so many running moments get you into it. Like for me, probably, even though I wasn't born, but you'd probably know Kathy Freeman. That was like our biggest sporting like moment probably in our history. So yeah, it's just amazing to see like what our athletes can, inspire us, and yeah, just the spectacle of it for sure.
Yeah. I still sometimes like, I've gone back and watched Mo's 5 and 10K like really recently, and that just like literally gets my motivation going. And it's like, geez, I need to run harder. I need to train harder.
You train pretty hard, mate. And that's a good segue to how about your training, Josh? Let's talk about it. So you hold a 217 PB. That is incredible. And especially because you put so much effort, considering like the 100-mile weeks. I'm probably not close to that at the moment, but I'm aiming for 1500. So what's your running like right now in terms of mileage? And how'd you get into it in the first place? Because running is like a tough gig, lots of hours by yourself sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. I can relate to that right now. So at the moment, so I literally just finished my last run for the week. So this week I ran 109. So at the moment I'm training for London in 4 weeks. So I've been, last few weeks have been about 110, just inside. And then I'll probably, from now, I'll start to sort of ease down a little bit into the race. Definitely the last 2 weeks. But I mean, I kind of got into running. I've sort of been in running and sort of come out and then sort of gone back in. So I started when I was sort of at school, really, when I was about 15. And that was just like through the local sort of the system there, where you do like a schools race, you get picked for your school, then you run for your school. I never really did any more than just doing like sessions like 2 days a week. I didn't do like runs or anything. I probably did that for a few years. And I used to do the steeplechase from my club.
Oh, really?
It was the only thing I could get in the team for. So no one else wanted to do it. So I just used to do the steeplechase all the time. And so then I kind of, when I was probably like 17, 18, I think it's quite common. A lot of people sort of like have a bit of a break from running. And that kind of happened to me sort of twice. So I had like 6 months where I just didn't run. And then, I got back into it when I was probably about 21 and a bit more seriously. So I was being coached by somebody different. I stepped my mileage up a bit. And I moved down to a different club. So from being when I was 21, I sort of really started to take it a bit more seriously. And then I moved out to the marathon probably 2 years ago. And then that's where I've really seen the the improvements in my performance, and not just over sort of the marathon distance, but like half 10K. Not quite 5K yet, but I think I just need to do a few more.
No, that's amazing to hear, because you started like at 15, 16, and like and you continue to do so today, because I've started probably last year during COVID, but like there's so many kids that start from like little apps and all that have so much like competitive drive compared to us, and it's good that we're kind of, you know, getting into it at that age and still got that like, you know, fire in the belly. It's how we say it, but it's really good to hear that, you know, your journey's not just over little apps and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
funny. I was talking to my friends I ran with this morning, and we were actually saying some that you get a lot of kids who are younger when you're racing, and or even just training against the York. I mean, I used to get dropped every session, and generally it's the guys that are getting dropped and working harder that they actually sort of stay through the sport and they actually prevail in the end. And it's quite funny. I can see that so frequently.
yeah, it's me right now. I'm hoping to make states this year, so permitting COVID, obviously, but we'll see how we go. And briefly touch on like the gels. Obviously, you're affiliated with Merton. Is that how you pronounce it, or
Morton, yeah.
Morton? Yeah. So like, how did gels work in the marathon? For those who don't know, like obviously you consume it, but like you have to have like plans and all that set in place.
Yeah, sure. It's quite funny you say that actually, because I'm still kind of working on my optimum. So this is actually, so I've started 3 marathons, but I've only finished one. So the first one I did, I had a bit of an issue with my like fueling basically. So I hadn't practiced enough, and I was quite naive in the sense I thought I can sort of have it now and then just take it for the race and you'll be good. And I was basically just sick after halfway. So that was definitely a lesson learned there. So when I did London last year, I'd practiced quite a lot. I mean, my other marathon, I had quite a bad niggle going into it, so it was always quite likely that I wouldn't finish. But yeah, so I mean, I train with gels and drinks at least once a week, if not twice a week. So like this week, for example, I've had two quite big sessions. So like yesterday, I drank like a liter of Morton in my run. So that's basically the purpose of that is it's got the carbohydrates in. So I'm trying to take on like sort of 90 grams per hour, because I haven't had testing, but you assume that you can't absorb all of that. So yeah, that's basically what you need to make sure you're not hitting the wall. But yeah, my thing at the moment is I'm not sure whether to take more drinks or more gels, but I think the gels kind of make me feel a little bit sick. So I'm going towards the liquid a bit more.
No, that's good to hear, because it's important to fuel and not miss the drink stations during the marathon. So a good segue as well to the Inside Jogging Podcast, which you're renowned for. You cop a bit of shit from Ray and stuff, but it's a good podcast, and obviously inspired by the boys. But how did it all come about? Like, you boys, are the 3 of you close? Like you, Clousey, and Scotty?
Yeah, so I used to run. Aaron basically brought me from the level I was when I was about 21. Maybe 2 years after that, he moved. So he went to Portland Uni. I think Matt Clousey did actually as well. Not, I don't know if it was a similar time or not, but yeah. So Aaron, Scott, and Scott, he was in the local area, and I was running with him, and he kind of basically brought me from being like a 80-minute half marathon runner, and I think I got down to about 72 minutes, and that was just like me and runs. We used to meet for runs all the time. So like he is probably my best friend, if not one of my best friends. And then Clousey, so I moved to Cardiff last year, just literally at the beginning of lockdown, and he lived like 200 meters from me. So when I moved here, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my coach, like with coaches, because I was moving from my old training group. And I just jumped in some sessions with Matt because I knew he'd run 2:13, and yeah, so I knew he was self-coached as well. I was like, well, I'll just jump in sessions with him, see how they go, and then it kind of progressed from there really. So he actually coaches me now. So yeah, so I'm really close with both of them, and Clousey and Aaron both been on the podcast Inside Running Podcast as guests. So I think it was a conversation Aaron had with Brady after Brady said we should do something in the UK. So Aaron's the host and he does all of the work and we just sort of turn up on a Sunday evening, very unprepared. And then like, shit, we need to do some research and stuff. But no, it's good. I enjoy it. I was a bit nervous at the start, and I think you can probably tell that if you listen to the first few episodes, we're probably a bit more natural now. But it's good.
I reckon you're a bit like Moose. I don't know why. Just give me that vibe, man.
Moose has been giving me a lot of shit recently.
Oh no, the boys are really good. Who's your favorite out of them three? Do you reckon?
Oh, I think I can relate most to Croker because, at the end of the day, the most running like I do, basically I get a lot of shit for running my easy runs too hard. And I think he gets is probably a similar thing, and I can relate a lot to what he says. And it's just like I just go out for a run and just run. I don't really worry about this is too quick or whatever. But so yeah, I can relate to him the most probably.
Yeah, I feel the same with Cokes. And just briefly touch on parkrun, like because me and the boys love parkrun. Obviously, that's where it started. What was that like for you? I think it started in 2004, the year I was born. But did you get into parkrun when you were younger?
Do you know what? I've actually not done a huge amount of parkruns. I've probably only ever done maybe like 10. So the thing with me with the parkrun is it's a big thing over here to do on Christmas Day. So I would kind of go with my dad, my friends or something, and we'd do it all on Christmas Day as like a workout. And yeah, that's always been something, and they do it on New Year's Day here as well. So, the first one here was I think Bushy Park, which is like quite renowned, sort of in that sense because of it. But I live in Cardiff, and the one here is like a really quick course. So I think the course record is like 14:20. So I sometimes do sessions around there. Like I'll do the park run, then like another 5K or something like that. But yeah, actually, I've not actually done that many of them, to be honest.
Because some people just like to do it casually, but it's also good for like workouts and 5K PBs, which I'm renowned for. But
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's massive here. Like in Wales, because of lockdown, they only start. I think they started again last weekend or the weekend before that, and the amount of people at the Cardiff, I think there was like 700 people rocked up, and it's not a big path. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome, mate. And let's touch on other sports other than running, because I think the listeners are getting, for those who don't like running, they're like, oh, these guys. But what about the Premier League? It's pretty big up there in Wimbledon as well. Do you follow those both closely, or talk me through that?
So one thing in the UK, it kind of happens every year. I don't know if you guys have this. It's like a fantasy league for the football.
Yeah, do it with my mates all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So if I was to follow a team, I support Arsenal, which is probably like quite embarrassing to say right now. But yeah, I don't massively follow them, but I'm one of these people like I'm quite geeky in the sense of I'll do these fantasy leagues and I don't know a huge amount, but I'll do a bit of research and I'll find the stats out and I'll pick a team off that. And I'm a bit lazy now. I can't be bothered to keep updating my team, but go back 5 years and I was actually pretty competitive and I didn't know that much about football at all. It was quite funny.
Yeah, and what about your thoughts on Ronaldo coming back to the Premier League? That's massive, mate. Like I know probably when you were growing up, he was crazy.
The whole country. So if you went on Instagram, you could look at any story from any person and it would have just been a picture of Ronaldo. And that was literally for the whole week. It's gone crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear, mate. And briefly, what about the tennis? I know you're not the biggest fan, but surely Wimbledon sometimes you chuck it on the telly or something.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing is now, since I've started working, you don't have it on the TV as much. But I remember being at school, and being at school, we would watch like the cricket, like that. I remember like the Ashes being on.
Oh man, you love the cricket, yeah. We'll talk about that as well.
Wimbledon would be on, and we'd always be watching sport. I think now because just because I've just been a bit busier with work, I probably and I even just the amount I've been running, you just kind of lose contact with that a bit.
True.
So you have to really force yourself to watch stuff. But no, I mean, I can watch any sport at any time really, and I can enjoy it.
Yeah, what about cricket? I reckon Australia are going to sweep the Palms this year 5-0. What are your thoughts on the Ashes coming up?
To be fair, I've not watched it so much recently, more from like back in the day. But I know I'm in a group chat with my school friends, and
Yeah,
they absolutely love it. So yeah, they'll be very be interested to see what they say. But yeah, they're always watching it.
yeah, that's awesome to hear. But I love the UK. I'm probably going to head down there after I finish high school. But what are some places you recommend heading to in the UK? Like, doesn't have to be all the main areas like Trafalgar Square. All those like top touristy spots. Are there any like low key, like cool places you recommend?
I was going to say, if I was to recommend anywhere, I wouldn't recommend London because it is so
Yeah,
touristy.
yeah, I have to. Yeah, London, and then check out everywhere else.
Yeah, literally go there because just tick it off the list. So where I'm originally from, I'm not a million miles away from, like probably 40 minutes from Cambridge. So there's some really nice places in Cambridge. Because I guess you've probably heard of the university there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that basically the university is most of the city. And it's just a really, really nice place. So if I can think of one place, I would say go check that out. That'd be good.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I'll see you in 2023, mate.
Sick.
Yeah, and what about Australia? If you were to, flip it around, come to Australia, where would you visit?
So funnily enough, I've actually got some family in Adelaide.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I've never actually been out there, but I know I was probably a bit young, but my dad and my dad's side of the family, I wouldn't say often, but I think my grandparents sort of go out like every other year. I think they take it in turns, one come back, and so I think I'd sort of probably go there anyway. Yeah, I mean, one thing I would also love to do is come to Melbourne and watch the Formula One. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing down at Albert Park.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of guys do sessions around there, right?
Yeah. It's got an amazing athletics track down there as well. I've ran all schools and stuff down there, so good for road racing and track. So just an all-round great destination for running.
Yeah, I think that'd have to be it. Great. Do a big marathon session, stay around, watch the Formula One for a week.
Yeah, that's just beautiful in April, especially autumn. Not too hot, not too cold, but yeah, it's amazing. And Josh, what about, let's talk COVID now, something serious, but obviously it was pretty big in the UK, but your vaccination rate's a lot better than ours. So talk me through that and how's that going right now in terms of like how you guys are managing it?
Yeah, that's one thing actually, listening to Inside Running Podcast, like I didn't realize how far sort of behind you guys were. With your you guys are probably a bit more brutal on your lockdowns. Like it seems to be if you get one case, you're pretty much in lockdown.
We're in lockdown right now and we've got like 100 cases.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think we're still getting like 20, 30, there was 20, 30,000 a day, something crazy like that. And we're not in lockdown. But I think so. I'm in Wales at the moment. And when I had I'm vaccinated. And when I had my vaccine, the woman was basically saying that Wales was like the first country or like the leading country in the world. So I had my second vaccine, I think in July, beginning of July. So yeah, I mean, where I am now, we have to wear face masks if we go into shops, but other than that, that's pretty much it now. And in England, you don't even need to wear a face mask; you can just basically do anything, pretty much.
Oh well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if borders are back open, mate, I'd love to go there, but we'll have to wait and see. And all right, what about like the schooling system? I'm not sure how that works in the UK, but I presume it's pretty similar to how it works in Australia. Like for us, we've got primary school where you go there from like age 5 to 12, and then high school from 13 to 18. Is that how it works for you, or a bit different?
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same. Yeah, we call high school secondary school. So yeah, you can either, as 16, you can either stay on and do something called sixth form, which you do more like your
Academic stuff.
school subject. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. Or you can do some more vocational stuff where you go to college. So you could do like, I don't know,
a
construction
trade or
or
something. Yeah,
yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
it's pretty similar. So that's good. And another different topic. It's pretty funny how the topics go, but um, what song is like your go-to thing you listen to, just like genre as well?
Let me bounce a few because
Yeah,
these
go
can
for it.
range. So if I go for a run and I'm listening to music at the moment, I have you heard of the Kid Leroy?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I have a
Love
thing in it where I keep listening to the Kid Leroy and I can listen all day, literally. I don't know what it is. It's just so catchy. Um,
Oh, it's good.
and then have you heard of like a rap artist from the UK called Dave?
Oh yeah. Oh, that kid who did the Dave thing went crazy. Thiago Silva. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's Dave. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Thiago Silva thing at Glastonbury, that was
I
very funny.
thought that would repeat that.
So yes, he just released a new album, so I've been listening to that quite a lot as well. So probably like that genre is actually called grime. Um,
Yeah.
here, but yeah. So I would probably listen to that, or yeah, it did depending on what mood I'm in. Probably the Kid Leroy as well, quite a lot of the minute.
What's your favorite Kid Leroy song?
Um, oh, so the minute Stay is very catchy. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just,
It's like
but it's
upbeat as
new.
well.
Yeah. Without You obviously is like a big one.
Yeah.
Is it Worse? I think.
Oh,
Let me check. I'm gonna
worse? No, I don't
put it
think
down.
it's.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's called Worse. I would say it's probably my favorite actually.
I don't recall.
Oh,
Worse.
Wrong. Sorry, not
Oh,
Worse. I
wrong.
know.
Yeah, yeah. With Lil
Yeah, yeah,
Mosey. Yeah.
yeah. That's
No,
it.
it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Mine would probably be So Done. I think it's really good. Like, it's pretty
Oh,
quick as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, the thing I found is because we're working from home as well. I just sit on YouTube all day, and I I've seen so much unreleased stuff from him, and it's all so good.
And then it just comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how he has so much unreleased stuff, but there we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what about your guilty pleasure? My guilty pleasure is Wonderwall. I think I've got an addiction with that song. What about you, mate?
Ooh. When I was a bit younger, when I was like a teenager, I used to listen to probably a bit more like punk rock sort of stuff. So if I was to go back, I'd be like Blink 182, that sort of
Oh,
vibe.
yeah.
Yeah, like I Miss You,
That's
sort
it.
of. Yeah, that's a classic.
No, that's solid. I can't go wrong with that. Um, and let's move on to the money segment, I call it, as always. Josh, I'm sure you know where we're going, mate. So, are there any funny stories either from your schooling days, running, or life you want to share to the listeners? Go as abstract as you want.
Yeah, no. So where I was thinking of a running one, right? So
Yeah,
there's a few, probably a few. This is probably the most suitable for a
yeah,
podcast.
go for it. Go for it.
So a few of us went out. We were looking for a quick 5K. So Aaron actually came, and one of his friends, and then one of my friends from my training group, and we went out to Belgium. So from the UK, you can either basically fly, which is probably a bit more expensive, and we were on a little bit of a budget. So we drove. So Aaron drove. So we were like scrunched up in his BMW the whole way there. So we went on a Friday evening. Drove down, got the ferry across, then drove. I can't remember how far it is. It's probably like 7 hours driving in total or something. It's a long way. So we got there on the Friday night, and sort of everything fine. We went for a jog, and then on the Saturday, so the race was on the Saturday evening, and we'd parked up somewhere on the Friday, left the car. Then we sort of just chilling in the day, gone out for coffee, got up for lunch, and then we just went out to go to the race. So we walked to the car. We probably left like 2 hours early, and when we turned up to the car park, the whole car park was shut for the weekend. So
No.
Aaron's car was locked up. We had no way getting it. We were like, what on earth do we do? Like we don't know where we're going. We can't speak I don't even know what's the language, Flemish, I think it
German or
is.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we ended up basically finding the address for the track, and we gave it to this taxi driver, and we had to get a taxi, and I think it was like €200. So because it was like an hour's drive, it was horrendous. So my race as well. So that was fine. We were there, so we were like, as long as we can get there, it doesn't really matter because we've come for the race, so we can just sort it out at the end. And so those guys raced. They were, I think, in the C and the D race. And I don't know if you've ever seen these races in Belgium, but they're like late at night. And I think I was in the E race. Yeah, so it was like the last race. I think it was 1 a.m. or 12 or something like that. So we were like, shit, we still need to find a way home. Like everything is shut. So yeah, I'd done my race and it was absolutely hammering it down with rain. And Aaron had managed to basically find these people. So he was supported by Socconi.
Yeah.
And he basically found some athletes who were also supported by them. And he was like, basically, there's 4 of us. We can't get back to. We're staying at. I can't actually even remember where we were staying, but it was basically like an hour away. And he was like, "Is there any way like we can just fit in your car and get away on the lift back?" So yeah, we managed to. They waited for my race because they were on like an hour before, so they were hanging around. He was like, "Yeah, he'll be like a couple more minutes." He didn't tell him that I was in the last race, so I literally finished my race, absolutely soaked. Literally put a t-shirt on, took my spikes off, just ran to this random car, and yeah, we ended up getting back to the hotel at like 2 a.m. and it was just such a stressful day, like honestly. But I actually ended up winning the race, and I ran a PB. That's actually my PB still today. So it was a good evening, but it was something I'll never ever forget.
That's amazing. It's funny how like you travel a few hours, like 7 hours, and then you're in like a completely foreign land. Whereas if we're in Australia, that'd be like still speaking English and all that. So I find that pretty
Yeah,
interesting, mate.
crazy. I actually went to I did a half marathon in Paris 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
leaving from Peterborough, where I'm from, you can get the train to London in 40 minutes. You can then get the Eurostar to Paris in like an hour and a half. So I can literally be like,
Really?
just over 2 hours, and you're in Paris, and you've not moved. You just sat on a train. It's so easy.
Might have to do that.
Yeah, it's so good, honestly. And that goes all the way to, I think it goes to Amsterdam, goes to Brussels. It's awesome.
All right, yeah, that's your cheeky little tip for listeners out there, I reckon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And briefly on shoes, I love my shoes. You probably listen to Shoe Geeks a few times, but other than the Vaporflies and all that, what's like a different type of shoe? I know I would go for like um Magic Speeds or Endorphin Speeds and all that. Are there any like fun type shoes you go for other than those?
Mhm. So I have to admit, I'm a real sucker for Nike. So
Yeah,
I only really wear Nike shoes. But my go-to, my always go-to has been Pegs. So yeah, that range is I've always run in Pegasus. Um, recently, my probably a bit more out there is like the Invincible. I don't know if you've tried them. Like I
yeah,
think
it's
they're the
pretty
most
cushiony.
amazing, ridiculous shoe I've ever worn. Like so, I did 24-mile session yesterday, and I wore the Invincibles this morning. And my legs feel fine. It's just like, how does that work? Like if that was 2-3 years ago, you'd barely be able to walk. But
Yeah, it's like a cheat code, mate. So might have to get
100%,
him.
yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
All right, this is like another different topic, but what's the best piece of advice someone has ever given you, Josh?
God, that's really hard. I'm trying to think. Basically, anything Aaron's told me, not that. Because I don't. He gives me a lot of advice, but I generally ignore it.
Yeah,
Um, I'm trying to think, right? So my first thought is probably something Clousey said. It's like in the marathon, you don't want to be if you're doing a marathon, you do not want to be working like halfway. So if you ever look at how he's run his marathons and his PBs, his negative split so hard. So yeah, that's the kind of the first thing that comes to my mind. Probably just because I've got the marathon on my brain right now. But
because a marathon's such a tough ask, so it's good to have like different advice and from different people. Like Clousey, obviously running 2:13, so yeah, good to hear from him. Negative splits as well. That's impressive.
yeah, when he ran his PB, he ran So he ran I think he ran 2:13.50 or something like that, and he split 67.40 and then like 66 flat. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Right, so he did that at Berlin, so I can imagine the amount of people he went past in the second half would have been ridiculous. So that's what he tries to get me to do, but I don't have that confidence. I probably go 66 and then 67.40.
No, that's all right. There's always room for improvement. I know you're a much better runner than most people, so you've got a lot ahead still. So, yeah. And what about like another left field topic? What about what's your recommendation in terms of a book or movie recommendation? Could be anything.
Trying to think what books I've read. I'm not a big reader. If I was to recommend one film, if you would say what's your favorite film of all time, probably. Do you guys watch much James Bond in there?
Oh yeah, I've watched a few of the older ones like Roger Moore and
yeah. Roger Moore is a good one. So my probably favorite film would either be GoldenEye, the James Bond film, or have you heard of Top Gun?
Oh, I think so. I've seen a fair few of them. It's just hard to like pick which one's which.
Top Gun's not James Bond. Top Gun's like it's like a I don't even know what you call it. It's like a flying film basically, but that's quite a good one. It's got Tom Cruise in.
Oh, right, yeah.
And one of them too.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation, mate. I think I've seen Top Gun as well. It's just like so many movies, and you know how it goes. Moving on to the pointy end now. So 5 quick questions. Josh, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
I love it, mate. Next one is if you were doing a subject, obviously back in your days, would you pick English or maths as your main one?
Maths 100%. Yeah. I'm my job is in finance, so I'm not bad at English.
Yeah, I might have to get you to help me with some equations because I'm not going very well in maths. I used to love it so much in primary school, but then like it slowly dropped off. So yeah. Next one is favorite athlete in the running. It could be in like other sports as well, but mainly running.
This one's pretty easy for me. So Matt Centrowitz, I've got quite it's quite funny. I had to play quite a lot of Call of Duty with him. But like he was one of my idols when I was younger, and it's kind of materialized now. I actually like chat to him quite a lot.
Did you play COD with him?
Yeah, quite a lot.
Oh, that's pretty sick, mate.
Yeah. So one day I need to try and get him on our podcast.
Yeah, use the
listeners and then all
that. You gotta get a. Do they still do nuclears like 25-0 and all that?
So now it's like a more Warzone, so it's like a battle royale.
Yeah, I haven't played COD in a while. We'll touch on that very soon, mate. Next one is favorite place to visit in England.
In England, see, I know I told you not to do this, but I would probably just say London because there is so much to do. And I think if you don't do the touristy stuff and you do sort of the more like if you can that's it. Yeah, there's so much to do there.
Yeah. And are you a morning or night person?
It depends if I'm doing a marathon or not. If I'm playing COD, I'm definitely a night person. Yeah. If I'm doing a marathon, I'm definitely a morning person. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about your Twitch streams. How did that all come about? Was it just to stream a bit of Warzone, have some fun? Was that the main?
Yeah, literally that really. So when Warzone came out last year, like we all went into lockdown, right? So there wasn't really much else you could do, and I kind of I lost a lot of motivation to run because like London got cancelled. So I was playing a lot of Warzone then, and then I started doing just a bit of streaming, like nothing serious. So we would do like tournaments and stuff, and we just stream them, just so like you could watch back and stuff like that, like get cool clips if you sort of did something cool. And then it kind of just materialized from that really. And then like I said, sort of been playing with some pretty good runners.
And let's touch on COD a bit more. I know when I was a bit younger, I think I got exposed to Modern Warfare 2 when I was about 9, and That's how I got into COD. But what about yourself? How'd you get into COD? Did you play like those Modern Warfare's, Black Ops and all that? Or
Yeah, that literally Modern Warfare 2, that
oh,
game. Oh my, yeah.
crazy,
So I
mate.
actually, before that, I used to be a real big Halo fan. So I used to play
Oh,
Halo
yeah.
3. That was like my game. And then yeah, so Halos they've not really obviously released many more. They're not sort of in the same, but yeah, the COD scene is just like yeah, awesome.
Yeah, the noob tubes weren't too good, but I used to get
Oh,
bombarded with
no.
it with my mates. They used to abuse me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I wasn't a fan of the jetpack era either, really.
Oh, I went Prestige Master in Black Ops 3, so that was my main COD, really. I don't know, but
No. Yeah,
yeah.
I probably, to be honest, played Warzone more than the others, like more recent
Oh,
years.
that's fair, yeah.
And it's good.
And what's your favorite map in COD of all time? Like, mine's probably Terminal. I reckon that plane is just iconic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would have been one of mine for sure. Uh, uh, uh. I mean, I do like Shipment just because it's so crazy. Remember that one? It's just
Get 100
just a
kills
guy.
and show off.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I got my. I'm trying to think what I got my first nuke on. Actually, I think I got my first nuke on. Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's on. They actually remastered it on the latest one. It's got like the broken plane in the middle.
Oh, is it Afghan?
No, it's got like a factory either side. Oh, that's gonna haunt me.
Oh, but it's from Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, that's gonna haunt me as well.
Yeah. Because
What
they've
game?
actually recreated that in Warzone in a small bit.
Oh, really?
Scrapyard, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I think it is Scrapyard. So,
Yeah,
I
it
have
is.
to
I
agree.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
for sure. Mate, I have to get into COD. I've taken a few years off gaming. Just last few years of school, you kind of have to
yeah, it's
put in the
sensible.
work. Yeah, be sensible. But I'm thinking of getting back into Battlefield 2042, which is coming out soon. So we'll see how that goes. Did you play
Yeah,
Battlefield 4 much?
no, not so much. I'm really, and I'm like this with like a lot of stuff. If I start playing one thing, I will grind it into the like literally
Ooh.
into the, and I won't play anything else. So, um, yeah, I've just been really like hardcore COD.
And lastly, a listener question. It's more like based on advice, but what's your advice for someone like who's in a similar boat to me and yourself, like 16, pretty much getting into running and all that? What's your advice like in terms of motivation, just to keep going and all that, and how it worked for you?
Yeah, so definitely I can relate to the motivation thing because I find, and I kind of find this in lockdown. Like, I don't. If it doesn't get me going, like let's just go for a run. Like I don't enjoy that so
Yeah,
much. I really like doing like workouts, having a target. So like for me, like London Marathon, I would train like I will not miss runs. I'll hit all my sessions hard, etc., etc. Like, but if I didn't have London, I'd be like, oh, I can just miss this run. It doesn't matter. So make sure you definitely have targets. And one other thing, this might be a bit not controversial, but one thing I always believe in is like when you're going for your runs, don't worry about what pace you're running. Don't worry about, oh, my heart rate this, my heart rate that. Just go for a run. Like run off feel. That's what I do. I know I get some shit on our podcast for it, but I know a lot of good runners that still run by that. And yeah, don't jog, run. It's I think Matt Centrowitz actually quoted one. So
yeah. If it
stuck
worked
with
for
that one.
Matt Centrowitz, then it probably worked for other people. So,
Yeah, exactly.
advice. And Josh, what's next for you in 2021? Like what are your top three goals or heading into 2022, like London Marathon or other events maybe?
Yeah, so yeah, immediately like 4 weeks London Marathon. So that's the end of this year. Then I'll have a little bit of a break, and then I've not decided what marathon I'm going to do next next spring. So we probably going to have a qualifier for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
So I'll be building for that, and I think our standard's 2:14 dead,
Oh,
which at the minute for me is a bit quick. But I think get a decent time at London, and then I might just send it at the
yeah,
qualifier and
perfect.
just give it a go. I mean, I'd be really annoyed at myself if I didn't try. So, I mean, I might blow up, but I might run it. So you never know unless you try, right?
Well, just quickly, where is the Common Games for 2022? Is it
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
too far.
So home game.
Yeah, home games.
Yes.
Yeah, that gives you a much added incentive as well. Home games, get the family
Yeah,
around as well.
exactly. So yeah, that's my big goal really. It's ambitious, I know, but yeah, give it a go.
No, it's good to have big goals. Just here, let me show you and the listeners. I wrote Nick Simmons, as you know, he's got like this thing I listen to, but he's like, oh, I wrote 359, live every day like a champion. Probably dreaming for 1500, but stick it up. And apparently, goal setting helps a lot. So just dump it on.
Yeah. Similar to that, I changed my phone wallpaper to the Commonwealth Games qualifying standards.
Oh, I love that, man. Let's wrap it up. But yeah, Josh, as I said, I'm a big fan of the Inside Jogging Podcast. It'd be great to hopefully catch up in the next few years. If I do end up in the UK with a few mates, you'll probably give us a tour and stuff around the area. So that's good. Good luck with your running, obviously Com Games, London Marathon, and with the potty as well. And mate, I might catch up for a cheeky park run New Year's Day 2023 or something in the UK. Pleasure to
Yeah,
have you on.
definitely. Yeah, come to Cardiff, or we can. I'll go back home. We can do one nearer probably London or something. That'd be awesome.